Tosca, so good to see you again. I wish we could do this interview in person, but COVID's here.
Hopefully next time.
Hopefully next time. Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I've seen part 3 twice now, and I really don't think, honestly, Tosca, there is not a director or production team or 2 actors working today that I really feel like could have made Gabriel's Inferno happen this way. It is just so to the book. Melanie and Giulio are fantastic. The Italy scenes are incredible. I'm like, I was like dying to watch this movie because this was like obviously the part that we're all excited about. So first of all, I just wanted to say congratulations as a fan.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you believe we finished filming 2 days before shutdown?
Yes, and that's what I remember. And now that it's so is there some sort of like kind of like finality happiness now that part 3 is going to be coming out?
Yes, I think well, as soon as it does come out on November 19th, I think I will be able to breathe easy, because it's one of those things you just constantly are like, something else, please don't let something else happen, just let it come out.
Yeah, so I have so many questions about the movie, obviously, but I kind of just wanted to touch base with you now that you're back to filming again, because the last 2 times I talked with you, I know you were producing 15 of your movies, but like you always do, because you're such a boss, but I'm just honestly wondering, what is it like now that you are filming back in LA in a COVID world? Can you talk to me a little bit about that? How has it been over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, firstly, Olivia and Michael, who you now know, are so fantastic. They're just the chemistry between all of us is just phenomenal. So I'm very happy about that, because that's very high risk, for it not to be great. But it is, and you'll see us just laughing and teasing and cracking up, and they're very close together, and they're very so that's very helpful. I, of course, am directing with a mask that covers my daughter's nails, with a mask that covers my face to here the whole time. And so, when you're trying to see how I feel about something, it's very hard for them, because they can't see my facial expressions. They can't see.
Yeah, because you are very, very involved on set in regards with your actors, and I've been seeing all of your coverage on your Instagram, and that face, I mean, you're wearing your face mask, but it does cover all of your expressions.
Yeah, it does. So that in that way, it's a little strange. And there is there's obviously the daily pressure of, if anybody tests positive for COVID, then we have to shut down. Everybody does. And so it's more that sort of pressure. The actual filming of it is going well. I mean, every scene is fantastic. I'm very happy. I'm like, oh, we got it. That's great. I can't believe after so many years, we're finally back to it. And we're, able to really create a great film during the strange pandemic. But it is an unusual experience that I don't really want to continue. I would like it to end.
Well, I mean, Passionflix is doing a couple of different, productions right now. I specifically wanted to ask about, Olivia and Michael for Fueled and Crashed, and you guys are filming both of them back to back, right?
We're filming them at the same time. So yes, exactly.
Obviously, and all out of order.
Yes.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah. So we're hopping from book to book to back to book, this way and that way, because you can't shoot them consecutively. You have to shoot them at the same time. So it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
We shot a wedding proposal scene last week, and next week we're going to shoot a breakup scene. It's life.
It's the Passionflix life. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I honestly I know that like we've been waiting, 2 years for this production to be back filming, and now of course, now it's filming, but we have COVID going on, so I appreciate you sharing some of that with me. In regards to filming out of order, I know we talked about a lot of this with Gabriel's Inferno parts 1 and 2, but with part 3, there's so many intense and heavy and emotional scenes. Of course, there is in parts 1 and 2 as well, but we actually have the buildup and the momentous buildup of what's happening with this couple in part 3. So when you were filming part 3 in regards to, where Gabriel and Giulia are at this point in their relationship, was a lot of the part 3 scenes done towards the end of this shoot, or it was all mixed in?
All mixed in. So, the scenes with Simon were shot within the first, I think, week of filming Gabriel's Inferno.
Yes.
When at the very, very beginning. So he was one of the first people that we met.
Yeah.
And of course, he's only in part 3. And then the Italy portion was the last thing that we shot.
I thought
So
so.
that sort of helped us get there for sure. But Italy was the last thing we shot. But the rest of it was very much so out of order. Anytime you go to the Clark's home, it was the very beginning of the shoot. And
That's
anytime
right.
you go to Gabriel's home, it's the very end of the shoot.
That's right, because you have to do it by setting. And I want to talk about Rhett, who plays Simon later, because I thought he was fantastic. Yeah. He's like the cutest bad ex-boyfriend ever.
And so nice.
I'm like, he showed up and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute, even though I know we're not supposed to like Simon. But yeah, he was great. And I want to talk about the choreography between him and Melanie later. But in regards to, so how do you as a director, like, give Giulio and Melanie this direction of filming these closer scenes between the two of these characters if they haven't really gotten a chance to film some of their other build-up scenes yet? Like, what are those conversations like, since everything's out of order? Because my whole time when I was watching it the second time, I'm like, wow, I'm wondering when they did this scene, because I feel like I see them grow as actors throughout the films and as the characters. I'm just wondering for you in the conversations what it was like for this particular film.
Yeah, well, the very fortunate thing about working with Giulio and Melanie is that they did so much research into it. So reading the books, and then we talked about it, and we basically lived in this world for so long, 4 months, 4 or 5 months in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And we were constantly talking about it. And, Giulio read the script twice a day. So he could easily follow through. Melanie was reading the book and really could pull from those emotions written in the book by SR. And then I would just tap into that. I'd be like, okay, this is where we were before, and this is where we're going to be after, but this is where you are now. And so we have to remind ourselves where we just came from in order for us to, all of us, get to the place of where we are now. But it's the research that goes into reading the script in the book.
And kind of keeping it all organized, because I'm just like, how does she keep everything organized and like all of the actors' emotions in place? It's so crazy.
Teamwork.
In part 3, I felt like there was a couple of long shots that I thought were just so beautiful, especially with the conversation when Gabriel tells Julia that he wants to take her to Florence. I know all the dialogue is in there in the screenplays and in SR's books, but when you're watching them, like, do you specifically let Melanie and Giulio kind of go as long as they can before you yell cut in regards to those long shots? Because I know when they have those intimate conversations, yes, you have to change camera angles to get their faces, and everything you did looked beautiful. But I particularly love the shots where it's just the two of them talking and we just get to like witness them as a couple. So can you talk about that in regards to how they were in those scenes? Yes.
So, I'm a big fan of taking your time in a scene, especially in our romance novels, and communication, and wanting these two characters to talk and just listening to all their feelings being shared. I think it's so important, and I think it's just not done enough. And so what we would do in a situation like that is I would set up the shot, and we would film them from the very beginning to the very end of the entire scene in that one position. And then I would change camera angles, and then I would do it the whole thing from the other angle, and then a whole thing from the other angle. So they just repeated the same conversation over and over again. When we're in a wider shot, we had the actual movements of them lying down, sitting up, wrapping the legs around, all of that's written in the script. It comes directly from the book as well. So they know what their movements are going to be. And they have such a chemistry as well. So they're touching every time. My go-to for all of my actors is when in doubt, kiss.
Yes. That's my favorite thing about you as a filmmaker.
When in doubt, kiss.
I remember you last time.
So there's a lot of kissing. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I'm going to kiss you.
Yeah. I have about that later, but I love that that's like a when in doubt kiss.
Yeah. When in doubt, kiss, connect, touch the hand, look at each other's eyes, just be together. But yeah, so we would just shoot it from different angles. So the actors had to memorize those, I think the scene is 11 minutes or something, 11 minutes of dialogue, and they would just repeat it over and over and over and over again, different positions.
In this particular, in part 3, which scene did you guys have to film the most? Or like any type of dialogue scene that, like, is there a scene where you have to keep filming it again and again to get different reactions? Maybe not in part 3, but parts 1 or 2? Or you felt like you kind of did it, because I know there's so many directors that need to do so many different takes, but do you feel like for parts 1 through 3, do you feel like it was pretty even throughout in regards to the takes you had to do?
Yeah, again, Melanie and Julia were so prepared, and we'd went through it, and they could take direction very well. So we don't do a lot of takes. We also don't have the time to do a lot of takes, and there's a lot of talking, so each take is very long. But they're so prepared. So if they weren't prepared, I would have an issue. But no, they're prepared. So
yeah,
the joy of any director, by the way.
Yes, and I mean, even when I spoke with them, for part 1, you could just tell like the research, and Julio was so crazy about getting it right for the fans. He just cares that they care about the fans so much, which is amazing. I love interviewing actors who care about the fans because they are few and far between a lot of the time. I absolutely loved I loved the fight choreography with Julia and Simon during that scene, and it was a lot more brutal than I guess I remembered in reading the book, and just like with how you shot it as well. Can you talk about the choreography between Melanie and Rhett Wellington, who plays Simon? He was amazing in the role. Can you talk about that? Because I was like, this is a lot more brutal than I remember. And Melanie definitely had to do some type of choreography here.
Yeah, well, so we have a stunt coordinator on set that helps us to walk certain things. But in the book, he walks her back. It's actually less brutal on screen than it was in the book. It's a little bit more brutal.
Yes, I think it is more brutal in the book. It is, but I think just seeing someone like Melanie, who's so beautiful and fair and petite, like just any type of situation, it just like it just was a lot like it was. I mean, the reason I'm saying is you did it great on screen.
Thanks. Yeah. So we do. If you notice that a lot of it is actually done in editing. She's walking back, cut. She falls down on the couch, cut. We flip to the other side, close up, cut. Every single move is very much so choreographed, and we like, obviously she's not going to get hurt, and so you place the camera, and then she moves into that spot and moves out of that spot. So and then our stunt coordinators, they're teaching Rhett how to hit and where to bite. But that's just him with a blood capsule in his mouth.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Little vampire trick.
It is. No, Rhett and Melanie, they're so great in that scene. I want to say thank you for the many bum shots we've had throughout these films.
I'm there for you.
I know this is kind of silly, but I feel like I can ask you this. Like, when you plan out parts 1, 2, and 3, like, how do you plan when you're going to do the nudity shots? Is it planned? Is it something that kind of happens on set? Like, how do you plan it as a filmmaker?
So I don't like to do any serious intimacy between the two actors until week 2, because while we have researched and we've known each other, the set is new. You don't know anybody on set, and you're a little uncomfortable in front of a lot of people until you really know them. And so then by week 2, you're a little as a person, you're just a little bit more comfortable in the situation, and that comfort shows on screen. Mm-hmm. So the first time we see Gabriel's butt is actually in part 3, and that's just before she comes in and talks about Caravaggio's painting. Mm-hmm. And that is actually the first time that we'd seen anything on set as well, because that was the first week of filming that we did that, and of Gabriel's Inferno. So that was the first week of filming. Oh, yeah, very intense.
Wow, you guys had a super intense first week.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was cool. The hospital scene with her in the hospital, first week.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love hearing this stuff. I love all the filmmaking about how you have to do things. I mean, because I think it just shows how good you are as a director and like these actors, because like we see it and we get to watch this 6-hour arc for Julia, but Melanie has to kind of put it all together within how you guys have the 5-month time frame. So I think it's fascinating. I spoke with you about this a little bit before and with Julio, but for his real life tattoos, are those fully covered up with makeup, or do you do any CGI with those? Because I mean,
no, we cover them up with makeup.
Does it rub off? Like, and
don't get tattoos if you're an actor.
He was like, and I'm just like, well, a lot of actors have tattoos, and he's like, I got this like a couple years ago, like before I got this role and stuff. He was like giving himself like crap about it. It was really fun.
They're beautiful tattoos. Looks great, but yeah, as an actor, we have to paint them out.
Yeah, and I always ask actors who either have to put on fake tattoos, which he does, and then have to cover up their real in regards to the makeup and rubbing off, and how like that can like, be hard on set. We spend a lot of time in adding on tattoos and removals. Yes. Got it. Okay, well, one of my most massive questions is obviously I just want you to talk about filming in Italy, where you filmed, where you like stayed, what it was like in regards to working with Italy as a country and filming this movie. You shot the parts 1, 2, and 3 over the course of 5 months. How long were you in Italy, and where exactly did you film?
So we filmed in Florence at all of the locations in the book. So very specifically that were written in the book. The restaurant that they went to is the restaurant in the book. The table that they sat at is the one that SR pictured. The hotel, the room that they were in is the hotel room that SR described. Yeah, so we filmed all of the Italy. So we arrived. It was chaos. So we left. We finished shooting in Syracuse, and then we get to the airport to go and fly to Italy, and our flight from Syracuse to Newark is delayed by 5 hours.
Oh no.
And my dog really wants to just sit here and whine for
it's okay.
And so the flight was delayed, so we get to New Jersey, and we have somebody waiting for us at the gate to run us through the airport to get to the flight to Italy. We get onto the flight to Italy. That one's also delayed. It gets us to Portugal. Then we run and we finally get on a flight to Florence.
Oh my God.
Our luggage does not make it to Florence. Nothing. And that's all of our dresses, all of our costumes, all of those things. It's all in our luggage, our camera equipment, everything. Didn't make it. So we get there, and our production team in Italy are where they're renting equipment. We arrive. Melanie, Julio's like, okay, here's Florence, because he used to live in Florence. Yeah. He's like, I'm taking you to the we all went shopping. We landed and we went shopping. And I was like, I need the green dress. I need this green dress.
Oh my God, did you find that in Italy then?
Yes. Within a few hours. Insane. Within a few hours of landing there, Melanie and I go into the store, and we're looking around, we're like, I just need a green dress. I need a green dress for her. And she's petite, and they're like, we have this one green dress. And I'm like, oh God, what? Insane. And the other thing is that it's supposed to have some cleavage per the book. And I was like, okay, maybe we won't get that dress, and we'll see if they can find something else, but keep this one on hold. And then we went looking around for everything. There's like a green dress. There's no way we're going to find a green dress like that. So we went right back and we got that green dress, and it just fit her perfectly, and it looks great on her. And Julio's downstairs, and he's trying on a whole bunch of different suits.
Oh.
And
and he's like he's like a tall, big dude too. Probably not super duper easy to get like a suit that fits perfect, No,
but at least he can speak Italian, and so they were all helping him. We were like, trying to, figure it out. But yeah, so we found all of those things that day, and then everyone went to rest, and we started filming at 4:00 in the morning, because we needed to shoot at the restaurant at night, and the restaurant's open at night. And so we had to start at 4:00 in the morning, and we were shooting in that restaurant scene first thing in the morning. And can I tell you a little anecdote about that?
What?
It's really funny. So, Melanie and Julia, Gabriel and Julia are sitting.
I mix up their names constantly.
Gabriel and Julia are sitting and they pour wine and they have a sip of the wine. And this is now maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. And in Italy, it's real wine. And so Melanie was not expecting that. So she takes a sip and she's like, "Ooh, that's 5 o'clock in the morning wine." No food, hadn't eaten anything yet for the scene. And she was drinking wine at the table, real wine.
I love it. It's Italy. It's funny because during that restaurant scene and seeing Giulio interact, with the other actors, I was honestly curious if he was able to help by speaking Italian with the crew and everything, but you just kind of answered that. And I'm sure he just loved being back home filming.
He did. There was the genuine sense of pride in him. And he's like, "This is how we do things in Italy." And I'm like, "Great. You serve real wine on set." Great.
I'm like,
I like wine, but that was unexpected. But yeah, so no, he was really wonderful and very proud, and rightfully so. The crew were wonderful, really great people, and they worked very hard because we shot all of that stuff in Italy in 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah, very long hours.
And when you do the exterior shots, like of all and all of the artwork shots, is that something that you do separately, I guess, without Melanie and Julia, or you have to get all that done during those days as well?
During those days as well. Are we talking about the Italy portion?
Because you have this. I know you do have the Toronto shots, but for the Italy portion, I was wondering how you captured all of that.
That was me waking up with my personal camera at sunrise.
I was wondering if that was
the different locations and shooting the establishing shots. That was me.
Wow. There's no filmmaker like you. I know, that's what I was saying. I was like, I feel like Tosca specifically got all these gorgeous shots. She's like, "We're gonna go and get this shot right now."
That's exactly what happened. I went and woke up and filmed all those shots.
It's so beautiful, and obviously just being in Italy, just the production was so gorgeous. So obviously, we've all, as fans, have been waiting for, the Italy, the hotel room scene.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, a long time, yes. And I'm curious, so how many days did you have to film their love scene at the end? Because again, it's like the book and it's very beautiful and the build up and drawn out, but it's also long, like how you elongate all of your scenes like the book. So I'm curious how long it took to film that scene, and do you have less people on set in general? Like, do you cut it in half when you have those intimate scenes like that? Especially with this one, this was one of the more intimate scenes I feel like that I've seen in a Passionflix film.
Yeah, the love scene is 21 minutes, which we always are shocked by.
I saw it on the count. I was like, when I watched it again, I was like, "Are we here already?" I was like, "We get almost 30 minutes of this."
Yeah. Yeah, listen, it's taken us a long time to get here, so let's enjoy ourselves.
Yes, exactly. No, and I appreciated that as a fan. I can't wait for fans to see it. But yeah, I would just love to get your thoughts on that, what the set looks like, and then how long it takes to shoot, a scene like that.
Yeah, we had 1 day. So, yeah.
I don't know why I'm always surprised with everything you tell me, because I'm like, oh, they probably had a week for this scene.
No, I wish. No, 1 day, and we sit there and I choreograph everything. I write out all the moves from the book. I go to the book and I just write everything out, and I go, okay, these are all the things. And then it goes, he kisses, he unzips her dress, he takes down the garters, every single motion that happens.
You're really big with the hand motions and getting it right from the book. You write it down. Yeah.
And it's very important. So while we do rehearse it, when the actors are in the scene, it's very hard for them to remember every single move while at the same time as, performing. And so while they're performing, they're staying in character. I'm actually reading out all of their moves, everything. So I'm going, hand goes down the collarbone and down the leg and down the stocking and massage the foot, and then go to the next foot, and then stand up, and then bow tie, and then even at times, because they won't know when to say their lines at some of the times, so we're like, and now I love you, I love you, I love you, and you'll just hear Margie, who's our editor, hears my voice constantly, and but I talk them through everything. It's very important for them to have very clear direction during these scenes. You can't let it be a free-for-all, because it will we won't know what to capture. And they would have to repeat the same thing over and over again. And you can't, if you've just made it up, you can't repeat it. You don't know what you did. So I have, because we don't do the move once, you have to do it multiple times, over and over again, from every different camera angle. And so it has to be somebody who's leading them through the whole path of all the movements. And that's what I do.
So I was actually, one of my questions on here was, is there an intimacy coordinator on set? But it sounds like it's you.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience as an intimacy coordinator.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you as a filmmaker is really, I've talked with a lot of directors, and you as a filmmaker, in regards to your productions, you want to feel comfortable with the actors and have them feel comfortable. And like, maybe there is like some sort of like, if you don't know what to do, like you said, when in doubt, kiss, but it also kind of removes the awkwardness of like, does this look right? And you're like, yeah, like you're kind of coaching, be like, yes, this does, because you can see it on camera, whereas the actors can't.
Exactly. And also, you know, I think that Passionflix has a different a different appeal than a lot of other content where people are, like, a lot of other channels are making things a little bit more for a male gaze, and they want to show the female body for their own purposes, as opposed to, for us, we want to show the female body to imply or let people know that they're nude, but we don't need to focus on it. We see it briefly, we know that that's happening. Okay, great. We can move on to the more connectivity. It's all about the connection and the moments that we want to get. The ability to ask for something, ask for your pleasure, get some pleasure. And what that's like, but we don't really want to focus too much on I guess the more gratuitous nature of it. So that's very particular, and I think that because of our work that we've done, actors are a little bit more comfortable with me being basically the intimacy coordinator and talking them through it. That being said, we do have an intimacy coordinator on Fueled and Crashed.
Oh, wow.
But they don't really do any coordination. They're just there on set to make sure that the actors feel okay. That's really what they do. They just want to make sure that, because we have nudity writers and everybody knows the scene and everything's written out, and, you know, Olivia and Michael know what, you know, the movie that we're making. So when you know what you're making, I find there's a lot of value for an intimacy coordinator on some sets. I don't necessarily think that they have a lot of value on my particular sets, but I'm happy to have them there if that's what the actor wants. It doesn't change anything for us.
Yeah, no, honestly, you answered my question perfectly. I love that you write it from the book, write everything down, have your notes, and kind of like tell them what to do. I mean, honestly, I would rather have like that type of approach anyway. And especially because, like, I have it written here, I'm like, there's really not a whole lot of dialogue in that scene. No. You know what I mean? So that's why I was asking about the choreography. So I guess, so you are on set with them, obviously, and then telling them, kind of like instructing them, but what do you do during rehearsal? Or is it mainly that's done in rehearsal as well before you film? Do you rehearse that? Or for that, because of your time constraints, you just, how did you approach it?
So we don't get that much rehearsal, unfortunately.
Right.
They read all the instructions and they can see all the things that we're going to be doing. So they'll see everything there. And then we try to do a rehearsal with clothes on. And you want to basically walk people through it. But for the most part, what we end up doing is we'll shoot all the way up to a certain portion. Like, for example, on this one, we shot everything over and over again up until the portion where they got onto the bed. Mm-hmm. And then we would just redo all of that, get dressed, do it again, get dressed, do it again. Yeah. It's basically the undressing portion. We'll do that. And then we'll come to the bed portion. And they're very specific. Again, the positions, the moves, it's written in the book when he, you know, massages her and when he does all these things. So and during the massage, what words he says and how he, you know, kisses her, all of those things are written. So because the shots, if you'll see them, they're not always these wide shots of, you know, go ahead and do whatever you want. They're pretty tight shots. They're very specific. And so we'll set it up and we're like, okay, now we're looking at her back, and now kiss the back. And now we're looking at your heads. Now you kiss the heads. You kiss faces. But it's very specific. So we're not just, letting it go anyway. But we will shoot a wide shot first. We will shoot this wide of everything happening, the whole action happening in a wide. And then after I finish that wide shot, we will come in and only do these close insert shots. We normally only do the wide shot once because I don't need to show that much nudity. I just need to use it for basically geography.
I loved how you did everything. I was like, I actually thought it was just like a really beautiful balance of everything. And I love the massage scene because that's really what women want.
Absolutely. And then to say that our butt looks good.
Yes. It's, I mean, honestly, it was so beautifully done. So I know we've talked about Rapture before. I think maybe in our first interview, you guys had filmed a little bit of it, and then obviously COVID happened. So what can you tell me about Rapture in regards to filming again and Melanie and Julio being involved?
Well, yes, fantastic. We shot about 10 days of Rapture, and we have about 20, maybe 25 days left now because it'll take a little longer to ramp up. So it might be a little, normally the shoot is about 30 days, so it'll probably be 35 days for Rapture. But we shot 10 days of Rapture in January. And so, yes, about 1/3 of the movie, but it's not the first third of the movie, unfortunately, because the first third of the movie takes place in Italy.
Yes, right, because they're still there.
So,
yeah.
So we were supposed to go to Italy in May and finish Rapture May and June. That was our schedule. And of course we could not. So we are waiting until we are allowed to go to Italy. But we literally are looking at the calendar and the shutdowns constantly to see, you know, when it is. We think we'll be able to go there in March.
In Italy Italy in March of next year, hopefully. What about any of the, you still have to go back to New York?
Yeah, well, we're shooting, so we've shot all of the Toronto portion of Gabriel's Rapture, and we've shot, and so now we just need to shoot the Italy and the Massachusetts part.
Okay.
And so it's Massachusetts, which we'll probably end up shooting in Atlanta.
Oh, is that part of why, were you kind of scouting when you were at the Tyler Perry Studios? I knew you were scouting. I never know what projects you're scouting for, but I didn't know if it was for Rapture.
Yeah, we're looking at doing a lot of projects in Atlanta now because I shoot a lot of them, so I might just move there and then I can stay in the same place with my kids and not have to move so much. And it has, because we'll be doing Rapture and Redemption right afterwards, and then we do This Man. This Man is obviously in the UK, but it's easier for me to get there from Atlanta than Los Angeles. It's a quicker flight. So we'll be spending a lot more time in Atlanta. So when we were there, we were scouting for 31 movies.
My face this whole interview is is like, oh my God.
Movies to do.
I actually, I visited the After We Collided set in Atlanta, and I love Atlanta. It's like very, very prone to filming for both TV shows and movies. I'm excited. So Rapture.
I asked Anna Todd, I was like, hey, did you like Atlanta? She's like, I love Atlanta. I was like, okay, great. Should I move there? She goes, you'd love it. Great. I love Anna.
They were there for about, obviously a month for the first film and then a month for the second film. And now they're filming the other two in Bulgaria because of COVID restrictions. I'm not going to Bulgaria, unfortunately, but yeah. So I'm hoping that we can get Rapture sooner than later. And is it going to be parts again? Are you going to keep with all the books the same type of form? I know the reason I asked now is because of COVID. I didn't know if your approach with anything has changed or if you still plan on doing the 3 parts.
You know, it probably will end up being 3 parts because the script is so long. It's 200 pages, and as we can tell, I do not like to trim anything, and I like the actors to really breathe into the role. So it'll probably be just as long, 5.5 hours, maybe 6 hours long. And so it's best to release it in 3 parts because we can't finish. Because while people are like, oh, well, it's finished, you should release it. I'm like, it's not actually finished. It's like finishing 3 feature films, and each post-production of each feature film still takes about 4 months, sometimes longer, depending. And that's fast, by the way.
Do you feel like do you feel like your post-production for part 2 and 3 was, I don't want to say easier, but a little more seamless? Because after part 1, I know with part 1, getting everything perfected, do you think part 2 and 3 were a little bit easier to do in post-production, or was part 3 more of I want to get this right for the fans, and like I'm nervous about putting it out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we edited it all during COVID, during, pretty massive restrictions. So I was 6 feet away from my editor with a mask on. So that was a little weird.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing ADR sessions, and I think you've seen pictures of Julio, and he's covered in a mask with completely alone in a room. Melanie was alone in a room in Australia. So it was hard. All of them were very different than what we would normally do, even in the in the sound mix. We're all very far away from each other. And but yes, it got easier towards the second and third one, are easier because I work with the same team. And so once you have all the specifics set out for the first movie, then when you come to the second movie, they go, oh, Tosca doesn't like the sound of cicadas. Let's remove that. I hate the sound of cicadas in movies. I was like, it's just this bed of cicadas. I'm like, why?
How do you do this? Yeah. Why do filmmakers do this?
I don't need to have cicadas while Julio and Melanie are having a beautiful, intimate conversation outside. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, you do not need that at all. I loved, no. I loved that so much. Well, I hope that there's going to be fans for Rapture and Redemption after they see part 3 on the 19th, because I think you might kill the fandom.
Thanks. Good.
I mean, in a good way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm saying I think the fandom is going to be blown away. I mean, like, they've already responded so well to, Melanie and Julio. And like I said, I really don't think there is a better actor on this planet to play Professor Emerson than Julio. And then the thing with Melanie, she's just, and the height difference. I can't get over, I will never get over the height difference.
That's exactly how it's written, though.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, the physicality of the two of them is literally perfect. They have perfect chemistry. They have you on set instructing them because you care about it and you care about in the fans. So I just want to say, like, thank you so much for Passionflix and for making movies like the books.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and for caring so much.
And it looks so, I can't wait to actually watch it on the Passionflix platform, because I will say I did rewatch parts 1 and 2 on the platform on Friday prior to watching part 3, and it was so worth it. I think everyone should do a marathon.
I'm down. I agree, actually.
I'm down.
We have, we have Pride and Prejudice, the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice on Passionflix now too.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that I do. I love it. And it's the same thing that I do. I just sit there and I can watch, you want to marathon through the whole thing. You want the 6 hours of getting you to the end. So I hope that that's the same feeling they'll get from Gabriel's Inferno.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Now it's nice to have these like anthology series where we can just like put it on a Sunday, have coffee, and just like relish in that. You know what I mean? Because we don't get that. We don't get that with a lot of books. Well, Tosca, thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait for everyone to see part 3. And of course, I'm going to be a supporter of yours forever and watch Rapture and Redemption. I will watch Melanie and Julio in anything they ever do for the rest of their careers. Yeah, I honestly will.
I agreed. I also just licensed Walking on Sunshine for Passionflix so that I could have Julio on another movie. So,
I have that. Just keep bringing him for movies. Well,
exactly.
Tosca, thank you so much.